All right, so it's been a good almost 40 minutes since I did the back wall. It's starting to get there. I'm gonna wait another 10 minutes and then we're gonna start scrubbing. I can still pull out a bunch on my hands. It's still not quite, it's still really sticky, which isn't bad, but I mean, this is never gonna be like where you don't pull anything off. But again, you just want to have this a little bit more stiff so that you can actually, tool the joint and not pull all of that grout out. So it's getting there. But yeah, 40 minutes. Now we're in a basement that's about 70 degrees, 65 degrees maybe. And the humidity is not terrible. So we're kind of in an environment where this stuff is going to take a while. But I did put some plywood down so I don't like muck all over my shower floor. Now this pebble stone is going to take a lot more time to set up. So we'll probably have all of this cleaned up before we even touch this.
Okay, so 10 minutes later, I went ahead and started to test an area. Now this is probably the best bet that you can do is just test an area, make sure that the grout isn't actually pulling out of the joints. Because sometimes, especially with this Ardex WA, it's still really sticky and it's really tough to tell whether the joint is going to fall apart when you're actually scrubbing it or it's ready to go. So using that white scrubby in circular motions with plenty of water, that's one unique thing about epoxy grout. You can use as much water as you want to get the grout off of the surface, and that really does make it nice and easy to be able to remove that excess off. So just pay attention to the joints, make sure you're able to smooth them out, use a sponge to actually do the final tooling of the joints, and check to see whether you're getting a nice smooth joint. If you're pulling any of the grout out of the joints, wait another 10 minutes and then try again. But this was basically 1 hour after I initially started grouting the shower. So we're going to go ahead and continue to remove all the excess off. During this process, if you do see any areas that you are missing any grout, go ahead and fill that in and wipe off as well. That's going to be your best bet, especially with these many grout joints. Filling in the areas that you need to as you go will make sure that you don't forget or miss any areas throughout the process. So you could just see how much water I'm actually putting onto the surface of this tile to be able to remove the grout. The more the water, the easier it is, and it's really not going to harm the grout joints at this point. But just know that you are going to want to have a bunch of these scrubby pads on hand because the grout will actually gunk up the scrubby pads and make it tough to remove. Same thing goes with the sponges. So I'd recommend having at least a half a dozen of each on a project this size, and then to make sure that you can effectively get all of that grout off of there. But as you can see, it's really not that difficult to remove the excess grout. There really was no worries about having that much on the surface, but the water is going to be your friend, and those scrubby pads really do help out a lot.
If you wipe this down with a microfiber cloth, it'll kind of reduce the amount of haze that forms, because in about an hour, maybe 2 hours, we're going to use that Windex with vinegar and then just scrub everything down with a scrubby pad again and wipe it down. But this initial wash, maybe the ceiling's not really going to do a whole lot, but on the walls it'll keep that any water drippage from forming haze. So wipe down the walls again. We'll just let this sit for a couple hours. Take that Windex with vinegar, scrub everything down again, make sure there isn't any haze. And so there you have it. That's the epoxy grout. Definitely takes some time.